Hi, thank you for coming. I appreciate you coming to this video webinar here to learn a little bit more. The outcomes today is really to explore how questions we ask ourselves shape us around, especially around careers and identity. The agenda, as you see on the screen, we'll do a quick stoking activity. We'll talk about childhood questions, we'll talk about adulthood questions, and then we'll do some fast feedback at the end. This is going to take 3,600 seconds or 60 minutes. Here are the rules or the norms. We'd love for you to seek to love, imagine the application, and take what you want from this. For those of you who are watching this as a recording, please be prepared to hit pause because there's going to be a lot of places for self-reflection. Do you agree to what's about to happen to you? Well, if you don't, you just exit the video. And again, if you want to exit, go ahead and just get out of the video. I'm Edgar Blunt. I'm the CEO of a company called Imago. And what we do is we build better humans for the future of our world and the workforce through emotional intelligence competencies around leadership, employability skills for youth and adults nationwide. So who are we though? We are shenanigators, we're lifelong learners, and we are creators. What we want is we want to infuse emotional intelligence into all types of programming, like I said, from youth to adults. And why that matters to us is we know that we need these skills to navigate our very complex world. Today, I just wanted to show you our lens. This is the Imago's lens of emotional intelligence. And it's important for us to think about this when people say, hey, we want to build better humans, or we want harder workers, better managers, that kind of stuff. If we give you language around emotional intelligence, which we believe that's the foundation for building better humans or better workers, you can kind of tackle these things in really small component parts. So, for example, you can work on self-awareness one day. You can work on your awareness around other people, social awareness, right? Instead of just being kinder, you could say, hey, we're going to work on social awareness. So for the sake of today's workshop, we're going to really focus on three areas: self-awareness, global awareness, and social awareness. You with me so far? Okay, so I would like to kind of pose this question for you. How important is identity and why? So go ahead and hit pause, take a few minutes to think about that, and then come back to me. Well, how'd that go? Did you talk about things like it's your brand, it's the way people see you? Often people talk about your identity as kind of the way you operate in this world. So those are often things that people talk about, and if you said that, fantastic. If you had other things in there, that's great, because there's no right or wrong answer there. Jumping into identity, I'd like to start off with the first question that adults ask you about your career. What is it? Hit pause. What's the first career-related question you get in your lifetime? If you got this, you're right. What do you want to be when you grow up? So, when's the first time we start asking those questions of us, of each other? Yeah. If you said young, you're pretty much right along with everyone else. Early elementary school, people start asking that question to a majority of people. And that lasts all along to even people in college. They're like, what do you want to be when you grow up? You're still asking that question throughout your whole kind of young adult life. Do you remember your answer? Take a second to pause and reflect. Okay, well, I'll share with you some of the things I've heard. People say they want to be sports stars, presidents, that's the one my mom really loved, doctor. Do you know how you came up with your answer? Think about that. Pause and reflect, please. Do you know how you came up with your answer? Do you remember? Yeah, maybe often it's things that are around you, people that you admire, maybe your parents or relatives or close family friends, things you see around you. Let me tell you why I think that question can be improved or iterated upon. There are some assumptions in that question that I want to point out. One, you're supposed to know, right? This is what do you want to be? You're supposed to know this answer. And you're being asked this when you're 6 years old, 10 years old. Two, if you don't know or do know, you have to wait till you are grown up. What do you want to be when you grow up? Well, first of all, I'd love for you to hit pause and tell me when you think grown up is. Is it 18? Is it when you drive a car? Is it when you get married? Is it when your brain is fully formed? No one knows. So it's really ambiguous to talk about, hey, when you grow up. Another assumption of this question is you get to be one thing, just one thing. But the reality is most of us have on average, Americans have 7 to 12 jobs in their lifetime. So if you're gonna be your job, you can't just be one thing. So the question says you gotta be one thing. I think the question's flawed because it says you are your job. What do you wanna be when you grow up? You be your job? You are your job. I think that's a flaw to that question. So instead of asking that question, I wanna offer this. If you had a magic wand, you can solve any problem, what would it be? So I'll let you pause there for a second and think about, what do you think today's children would say? How do you think they would react and answer those questions? So by shifting to this problem-solving approach, there are some benefits of this question. So one, it's easier to answer. Again, kiddos are telling you what they see, and they're very limited to the types of jobs that they're exposed to. Most students or most people when they're young, they know maybe 10 jobs, 10 careers, things like firefighter, CSI, YouTuber, the stuff they see on TV, and then what their parents are, whatever that is. And then, of course, their teachers, right? So that's like a very small handful. But this question's easier to answer because these are things students could be passionate about right now. And it doesn't force them to narrow their options when it comes to different specific careers. It's a now question, right? If you could solve a magic wand, what problem would you solve? The previous question, what do you want to be when you grow up, it says you have to wait. You can't actually start thinking about how you plug into this world, what kind of careers or what kind of things you want to do. This question says you could solve that now if you want. It's a lifelong pursuit. I think the question is big, it's broad, and allows a student or a young person to answer the question, if I want to solve hunger, that's something that's going to be around, that's been around for a long, long time. It's a lifelong pursuit. And it could be enough for the asker. So think about this. Often we're asked this question by an adult, a friend, and they're trying to motivate you, right? And if you say something, I have a friend one time that said, I'd like to be a garbage man. And the parent, who was a CEO of a company, just didn't react. And my friend recalled telling me he felt like that was not the right answer. So he told him president or like a baseball player. And then, of course, the parent was like really excited. So if you say, hey, I want to solve health problems, I want to solve cancer, that's going to be enough for the asker themselves. They're like, oh, that's really bold. That's a bold idea. I hope you could do it. All right. So moving on to questions. What are the first questions you're asked when it comes to identity as an adult when you meet someone? Pause there. Okay, hopefully you said, what do you do? So I want you to just think about how you answer that question. Hit pause here and kind of share out loud to an imaginary friend how you answer that question. Right, so the intent of that question is to get to know someone, right? And it's typically now used to identify someone's character, power, and status, though, however, in the United States. And what it does really is it reinforces your job as your identity. So now I'd like to invite you to ask that question or answer that question differently. So if you are asked, what do you do? I would like to invite you to think about, what do you do that you've always done that you'll always do? Okay, so what do you do today in work that you've always done before this job and that you know you will always do after this job? I want you to pause there and think about, what do you do? Okay, so probably more skills and values based, right? Your answer things are going to be like, I help people, I solve problems, I like to manage people to their highest potential. I create art. I look for beauty in things. Those are a lot of things we see in these workshops. So the beauty of this conversation is you start to generate these authentic conversations with each other, right? Again, what do? You have this really beautiful conversation where someone at a different socioeconomic or different career level could feel like they're on the same page. So it's a very equitable type conversation. So if you are saying this and someone doesn't have a job, what do you do? I'm unemployed, right? How does that feel for that person? Even though maybe they are someone who has very similar value sets as you. You both want to solve problems, or you both help people who are hungry or in need. It minimizes hierarchy, like I said. Again, if you have two people and they're just different parts of their career, it allows just this really beautiful, authentic conversation. Now imagine someone walks up to you and you answer the question, what do you do? And I would answer this personally. I'm a shenanigator, I'm a hugger, and I hustle gratitude. And often I'll get the look like that, and it's okay. If the person is really interested in what I do, they're gonna go, okay, tell me more. And I'm gonna have a beautiful conversation. It reinforces a positive self-identity, right? Again, if we have several careers in ourselves and in our jobs, and sometimes we're up and down and all around, it's hard to have that really strong positive self-identity, right? But if we know who we are through and through, that stays with us forever, and that's a really positive way to kind of look at yourself as well as identity. So, kind of wrap that up. Your job isn't your identity. I want to invite you to think about asking more meaningful questions. When we think about ourselves, there's a huge opportunity to change the paradigm of identity ourselves in the workplace. So we have two more questions I want to throw out there that I think could be maybe adjusted, or at least the way that we kind of affect or prompt the questions. And the first question is, what advice would you give your 18-year-old self? I think there's a better question than that. It's, what 3 questions would you ask your 18-year-old self? And the reason I say that is I would love for you to think about yourself when you were in your early teens, late teens. Were you prepared to get some advice? You're not going to listen to the old fogey in the room who has the wisdom that's just trying to talk at you. So that question, I let you to pause. This would be a really nice time for you to think about what 3 questions you would ask your 18-year-old self. A lot of things that I hear during the workshop as we go through this is people say things like, why would you not take more risks? They say things like, why did you settle for this? Or why did you only do things to make your parents happy? Personally, I would say things like, I would say, why did you make a choice? How would you want to be remembered, or something like that? And then my third one for me personally is, what do you have against stretching? Was not something I do, and it's paying off. I'm reaping those benefits right now. What's good about that question, I think, as you think about it, not only does it generate insight, if you do this in a session with multi-generation people, maybe people in your family at different ages, it really shows really great self-reflection, If you do it with a teamwork, it really helps bond people because they're just trying to understand and help understand people's journeys and kind of where they think about it. And it's a really good example of that. And of course, in teams, this builds camaraderie because people understand each other's journeys a little bit better. The final question that I'd like to invite you to rethink is, it's not necessarily rethinking the question, but it's the prompt. And the question is, how do you want to be remembered? All right, and so the prompt would look like this. Typically, you would say, how do you want to be remembered? And I want you to write it down, give you 10 minutes, and then I want you to share with your teams, your groups, and then I want you to turn it in or share with me out loud. The prompt should be this. I would say, all right, class, or young Anthony, I'm going to ask you a question, and it's probably going to be personal, could be deeply personal, but I want you to know that after I ask you this question, I'm not going to ask you to share it with me or anyone else. I want you to know that once you answer this question, I want you to answer it for yourself, and you're going to put it like somewhere that you can refer to in the future, like your diary or notes in your phone or wherever in your computer. And the question is, how do you want to be remembered? So I will let the class or the person I'm working with spend 5 minutes, 10 minutes writing that out. And then when they're done, here's what I prompt them to say. Now that you've done that, use that as your North Star for all the decisions you make. So it's from the friends that you're going to go and make. It's the classes that you're going to take, the jobs or the careers that you're going to start exploring, where you spend your time and energy. Make that be one of the decision-making factors. It's your North Star for how you kind of spend your time and make your choices. And I'll tell you why that's at least really exciting for me to share with you. I've done this with over 1,000 young adults as well as adults. And when they did share with me, when I was asking them to share with me, they would say things like, I want to be a good person, I want to be a good family member, I want to give back to the world, or I want to make an impact in this world. I swear, like only 1 out of 1,000 people I'd ask this question would say things like, I want to be the richest person in the room, I want to have the most YouTube followers, or the fastest car and the biggest house. And for me, that's really hope. It generates a lot of hope for me. I honestly believe humans are good. And I think if we think about the future of our work, and if everyone is going after their North Stars and making decisions on that, this world is going to be quite an amazing place. If you change that question and prompt it that way, it encourages decision making. It allows people to kind of, when they write this down, it can evolve over time, right? And it's centered on the person you ask, their purpose, not your purpose. And like I said, this generates a lot of hope in the world. So to kind of wrap it all up, obviously questions are powerful. I'd like to invite you to take the 4 of what we call the Imago party pack to go out and create more meaningful conversations. And I'll say this, since you are doing this digitally, I would make the offer that if you email me your address, I will send you 4 coasters that actually have these questions printed on them. And we'll send them to you gladly if you're interested in having these and having more meaningful conversations. So what you just saw was something that was delivered in 60 minutes live in San Antonio. However long this took you, it could have taken you 15, 30 minutes to go through. This is actually a condensed workshop that normally takes 90 minutes. And we do a lot of other leadership series. So on the screen, you'll see is more information on how to learn about the different types of leadership workshops that we put together. There's a list there. Be happy to have conversations with you if this is kind of your flavor. If not, then I hope you got a few things out of this and we'll go forth and start asking different questions. Thank you.